Welcome to Audience First, a podcast for tech marketers looking to break out of the echo chamber, to better understand their buyers, what motivates them, and what they hate that vendors do. It's time to unmute your mic. Are you ready? Welcome to another episode of Audience First. I have a very special guest today with me in New York. As always, I have the one and only Gal Yosef. Gal, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool. All right, let's kick it off. How about you tell me who you are, what do you do, and why the hell do you do it?
So my name is Gal Yosef. I'm based out in New York. I run the Americas product management at AlgoSec. Mm-hmm. Why do I do it? Because I love it. I love being on the product management seat for a long time now, and I enjoy listening to our customers, understanding what are their main pain challenges, and build a plan to get that fixed.
I always ask my guests this question. What is the one thing you hate about the cybersecurity industry?
Sometimes we tend to be focused on the buzzword, where we need to focus on the pain points.
Yeah. What is one of the most overrated buzzwords you've heard in the recent times?
I'll go with the highest, the AI, but then I do think there is a lot into it that can be leveraged in a good way. So it is a buzzword, but if you know how to use it, then you can definitely benefit a lot out of it.
100%. Now, sitting in your seat, tell me a little bit about pain points you've seen rise in the past couple of years amongst customers.
So I think that's one, if we look back from our persona standpoint, and we used to work a lot with the network engineering team in the traditional on-prem firewalls, network security, and all of that. And then over the last decade, basically, we've seen a transition into the cloud. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that today it's very clear that organizations are already out there in the cloud, fully onboarded in the cloud. They are running in the multi-cloud environments, meaning they're leveraging the main ones. I'll name it AWS, Azure, GCP, so on. And it became a challenge for them. How can they transition from what they're familiar with in terms of the old technology or the traditional technology? And how can they adapt into the new space and the new kingdom that we call the cloud? But then that kingdom already grew up and matured in a lot of areas. And we have there the cloud security team. And we see now the need of those two teams to collaborate, to work together. Each one of them has a different objectives that they're looking at. And then it goes back to us on how are we able to help in that transition and how are we able to provide a value proposition within that.
Mm-hmm. What are some other, so in transitioning from kind of the network security more to the hybrid cloud and cloud security, what are some other kind of common themes or patterns you're seeing amongst buyers and customers?
So I think, first of all, the fact that the cloud continue to evolve. We see more and more technologies are being adapted into the cloud, which brings more challenges. Yeah. How do we manage that? How we provide visibility into that? Right. How do we manage that across different cloud vendors? Yeah. Each one of them has their own native technologies, but then they have also the traditional now that are pulling back to the cloud. So we see the new generation firewall now running on the cloud, and how we basically try to build a new structure into the cloud that will be aligned with the corporate global orchestration and global way that they manage it, because they understand that they need to have the agility to provide the what we call the app owners, that the end users or the application owners, the agility to run faster, but then being able to maintain guardrails around that. Yeah. And that's a huge challenge.
Do you see any huge knowledge gaps amongst the actual internal teams when it comes to moving towards multi-cloud security?
Yes, absolutely. So those are two different teams.
Yeah.
One comes from the traditional firewalls. He's very familiar with Palo Alto firewalls, Checkpoint, Fortinet, so on,
Okay.
and the on-prem perspective. And the other one is now a lot more on the cloud security, running the network security, the security groups, and so on. Those are different languages that now need to collaborate and communicate between each other. You need to be able to build a structure where it's all working together, because the reality is that when you look on an app, the app lives everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what we call the hybrid network estate. You will see, if you open even your mobile phone and you pull up the bank services that you're using, behind it, what happens is that app will go communicate with the cloud to get some of the information from a database that sits in the cloud, in one cloud. It can then later on reach out to another one, and then it can go back to the on-prem. What I just described, those are different flows that the app takes, and you as an end user are using that, even though you don't know what happens backstage, but that what happens, and it translates into flows, what we call app flows. And those app flows are different network elements that we are able to provide visibility into. And by that, we provide what we call the application-centric approach.
I want you to put yourself into the shoes of one of your recent customers. What happened at the particular time when they decided now's the time for us to figure out how to move towards a hybrid cloud security approach? That's one. And two, what happened that they decided now's the time to evaluate AlgoSec?
So those two are very good questions. Let's start with why looking into multi-vendors. We see a need from customers to work in the multi-vendors for many reasons. A, velocity of technologies. B, one vendor can do something that the other cannot do. So it's how to leverage the most out of it. C, I would say it's more about risk management and your ability to build an HR or DR structure or SaaS services across different cloud vendors. So if one is down, you're able to maintain the business. And last is also from a compliance standpoint. So those kind of like key aspects force or pushed companies also to look into the multi-vendor or multi-cloud vendor. And then when you ask where AlgoSec fits in, is basically in our easy ability to onboard everything into a single orchestration platform that is by nature supported within the multi-cloud vendor. And we're able to basically help our customers align a single policy across all of that.
Now, let's say an enterprise wants to take a multi-cloud approach. I want to get really prescriptive and practical now. Can you take me through the steps that need to be achieved in order to maintain efficiency and the ROI with moving towards that approach?
You want to make sure that you have business continuity.
Yeah.
All right. So that's I think what we all want to avoid is downtime, right? Because downtime means that the end user is being impacted. All right. And that's bad to the business. And then around that, there is a question of how can I set a policy that is secure, that meets with the compliance, that gives the end user or the application owner the agility to run around that, but then at the same time continue or maintain the security bar at the right spot, that the organization is in compliance, that the organization doesn't expose to any risk that's out there. If there are different risks, how to mitigate that, and so on.
Are there any like anecdotes or customer stories that you have that highlight how large enterprises approach cloud security policy enforcement across different business units?
I'll give you an example of one of our largest customers
Yeah.
and how they orchestrate that. All right. So we are talking about a Fortune 500 company over 25,000 employees. They have 10 different BUs across the organization. And we work with the network security team and with the cloud security team
Yep.
to build up, from a corporate standpoint, the guardrails,
Yeah.
the policies, and then to apply that into their BUs.
Okay.
They almost look at their BUs as their customers, if you will.
Interesting.
Okay. But then they are providing services to those BUs that must be within policy defined and set by the regulatory, by the compliance, and by the CISO level to allow the business to run fast on one hand, but then on the other hand, also to make sure that there isn't any violations. We don't expose any connection to the internet. We run vulnerability scanning. We maintain and being able to mitigate those high or critical risks and so on. And what we are providing them is basically the ACE platform that's able to orchestrate all of that's able to provide them the capability to set those guardrails, to define their own guardrails, and they can even within that have different guardrails for each one of the BUs. So they have the granularity to define to each one of the BUs what are the guardrails that are allowing them. So one BU can be very open or a lot more flexible, while the other one can be a lot more restrictive.
Now, before we get into my next question, quickly, what is ACE?
So ACE stands out for AlgoSec Cloud Enterprise. It's basically our cloud offering that allows a company to onboard the entire multi-cloud, I would say, assets, if you will, or workloads. And then within that, there is a very wide set of functionality that we are providing, from visibility, policies, mitigations, guardrails, and obviously, the most important thing is the app-centric approach into that, and our ability to provide what we have is an AI discovery, which is once you onboard it into the system, the AI will be automatically able to discover all the apps within that. And that goes to the VMs, to the microservices, to the vulnerabilities, and so on. And the onboarding and the ability of the AI tool to expose all of that, that's huge benefit to the customers, both from the timeline standpoint. So when we're looking on the cloud, we're not talking about a long deployment. We're talking about plug and play, plug and go.
Like how long is that in time?
If you give the right keys and permission into the system, that's obviously in compliance and allowed and all of that. Once you onboard that, we're talking about 24 hours till you have the full results out of that.
Okay.
So there isn't a need to, like, a week is a ton. In a week, I expect the
dog years.
organization. Yeah, I expect the organization in a week to be already looking into the insight that the AI discovered, and now starting to build a plan on operationalizing that, and how we build a plan to mitigate the highest risk, the critical risk first, the high then, how we build a plan around the guardrails that we want to define, how we fine tune for each one of the BUs what we allow or not. But and again, we changed the terminology from deployment, which is very related to the traditional world. We had to deploy, we had to install new VMs. In the SaaS services, it's onboarding. And once you onboard, it flies.
Okay. So take me back to the customer story, the enterprise, they implemented ACE. What measurable impact did that have on their security posture and their organization?
So they had a couple of projects running at the same time. They had a large audit that they had to show that they are mitigating and exposing, and now more than that, they are aware and they have visibility into the critical risk that they have, which they didn't have until that. Take that step back, they didn't even know which critical risks they have within the organization.
Wow.
Okay, so think about how many risks there are only in that for the organizations or the costs. Okay, it can be in different layers of that application. It can be in the authentication. It can be in the rules. It can be that application has now vulnerability or has an internet exposure. they weren't aware of that. We are able to provide them the visibility into that. We're able to provide them the identification of those risks, but we also are able to provide them a path to how to mitigate that, how to remediate those risks.
Mhm. Now, again, thinking about this particular customer story, for those listening in and other security teams and practitioners listening in, what are some of the insights, and even across other customer stories and anecdotes, what are some of the insights that you could pull from your experience with customers to share with the team, even if they didn't onboard with ACE today, that they could use leaving this session?
So I think that visibility is the foundations of
Mhm.
understanding what are the potential risks that you have
Mhm.
in your cloud or multi-cloud environments.
Mhm.
Then once you have the visibility, you need to identify what are the risks. If you're out there without anything, that's a huge risk. But once you're there and you have the visibility, now you need to build a plan to remediate those risks. And once you do that, you want to maintain that level of security.
Mhm.
And that's where we're able to provide the infrastructure as a code. That's where we are able to continue to monitor. We are able to help you build a plan on how to maintain that and identify that. But not only that, because you will have the app owner with the need to be more agile, to run faster, and you want to give them that. And you need to control the balance between the two.
What makes a security team hesitant to adopt a new tool, even when they know they need better visibility?
I think that once you show the core value proposition and what's in it for them and how much it can help them, it's very straightforward. Okay. The question around the permissions, the onboarding piece, it's very easy. You give a read only or read write depending on the organization, and from that point you fly.
Mm-hmm.
But first show the product value. Once you prove the product value, then it's good to go. Because if you have good value into your product, it doesn't really, or the way to get there is very clear.
In looking at your success with current customers and in the market, AlgoSec's been around for a while, and now you just recently launched Horizon, and ACE is part of the Horizon. What do you think is the tipping point that gets customers to move from one solution over to ACE?
So I think there are two questions there. One is into ACE, and the second one is into Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And Horizon, just to be clear, Horizon includes ACE within it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're looking on a new prospect, he will probably look into the Horizon as a whole platform that provides you the entire suite with the analytics side, with the visibility, with the Fireflow, which is the ticketing and automation, with the ability to really manage and change and being able to actively change those rules and so on,
Mm-hmm.
both on the on-prem as well as on the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So it's everything in one box, basically, which you get with all of that together. It comes with, it's basically the entire hybrid network security. It's from the application level, and it goes all the way down to the different network elements with the on-prem and with the cloud as well.
Mm-hmm. And then ACE is specific. So just to differentiate between Horizon, so to visualize that for me.
So ACE covers everything that is cloud related
Okay.
and lives in the cloud, between clouds,
Mm-hmm.
and between the cloud into the on-prem.
Okay.
And then the rest is all within the Horizon.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. Take me through the direction that AlgoSec is taking with ACE to stay ahead with some of the market changes and challenges as well.
So I'll answer from the product perspective.
Sure.
We have a few processes with our customers,
Yeah.
working very closely with them, defining their pain points, defining their needs.
Mm-hmm.
And based on that, we adapt and maintain and elevate the A store.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we work very closely. We have many beta programs with our customers. We are running design partner workshops with our customers, helping them understand also how they plan to adapt those cloud elements,
Mm-hmm.
because the cloud continuity evolves. And we see Azure and AWS and GCP continue to add more and more components and elements into the cloud, which they come to us a lot of times and ask, hey, how do you think we should use that? Or what's the best what's the best practice to use that? And then we are providing the advisory a lot of ways of how they should structure their entire policies across the organization.
Mhm.
So that's where we serve both as a counselor in a way,
Mhm.
as well as a platform that actually operates that.
Amazing. What's got you hopeful after the launch? Like you've seen probably early successes, but what's getting you excited?
If we look on existing customers that we have, the amount of value that they can get out of ACE is incredible.
Mhm.
And it's not a value that we're looking down the road. It's a value that they can get tomorrow. So tomorrow they can have full visibility across the entire cloud estate. That is something that they do not have today.
Mhm.
And they can get at tomorrow. We see a lot of our customers are approaching us with, hey, I saw that. Help me out with that. Hey, my team has a new initiative to move into the cloud. Or, hey, I need to move the SD-WAN from the on-prem or into the cloud. How should I do that?
Mhm.
Help me do that. Help me maintain that. Help me rebuild or restructure that in the cloud space. And we're there for that.
It's a recurring theme that I see across all the conversations I have with both vendors and also practitioners who are working in large enterprises. Despite the fact that there's a platform, there's a SaaS tool, it's so important to have that partnership, that human connection with the customer as well, right?
Mhm.
The onboarding, the retention part of the story is big too, right? We need to continue working with them to make sure that they're successful and maintaining progress in the organization. So I love that. And now I want to get to the juicy part of this session, which is the quick fire challenge. I'm going to be shooting some questions at you, and I just want you to quickly answer them. First thing you think about, top of your head. Ready to go?
Shoot.
All right, let me open it up. This is a new experiment we're doing on the show, and I want to test this out with Gal. All right, what is AlgoSec's dirty little secret? Something buyers never ask but should know.
The way we provide application-centric overview across the entire network estate is a huge leverage for our customers.
Tell us about one challenge that shaped how AlgoSec does business today.
The challenge to automate the change request is a huge challenge, which we understand and we are able fully to support within the hybrid network estate, which help our customers to achieve 10 times faster performance and to show a huge ROI on that.
What's one lesson you learned the hard way that others could learn from today?
Cloud security is a huge challenge that continue to evolve, and you need always to be open-minded and to have your ears open to adapt new technologies so you will not be left behind.
Mm-hmm. What makes AlgoSec different from the rest of the competition?
I think our relation with our customers, we really do care. We have so many methodologies to measure our customer satisfaction, to ensure our customer satisfaction, that definitely works. And we see our customer to continue to grow and expand.
Mm-hmm.
And we really do care.
Mm-hmm.
When our customer reach out and ask, or even when we proactively reaching out to our customers and ask those questions, we really care because our mission is to provide value and to increase the value. And I think that's a core differentiator we have.
What's the biggest myth about your product category?
The challenge in the transition into the cloud, but I think that we show how much we're able to do within that. So even though the traditional is very set, our ability to take all of that knowledge and adapt that into the new cloud space is huge.
Describe your product in 3 words. It could be 4. I'll be lenient. I know it's hard.
Securing application connectivity anywhere.
Okay, 4 words. Securing it. Yep, those work. What's the biggest misconception about AlgoSec?
that it's only in the network,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a lot more than just the network. It's a lot more in the app.
Yeah.
And then it goes down to the different elements.
If AlgoSec were a superhero, who would it be?
Ooh, Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. Why?
I guess the spider nets. And then
Okay.
I'll take that.
Okay. We're in New York City.
So
it's
yeah, and we're in New York, and the spider nets get everywhere. So and so do we.
amazing. All right. What's the future of security in 2025 and beyond? Where do you think it's going?
It's going to continue to expand. It's going to continue to bring up new challenges, and we're there to support that.
Amazing. We're headed towards the end of the session. So here is your opportunity to plug in anything you'd like to say before we sign off, or ask me any questions. This is a bi-directional conversation, so it's all you.
So I ask you.
Oh, I'm in the hot seat now.
So you talk with a lot of folks in the cybersecurity space. What will you define as one of the biggest challenges that they point out that they are chasing after?
Communication across teams, silos, knowledge silos for sure. The proliferation of tech is a challenge. And obviously the knowledge silos is a byproduct of all of the mess we see in the market. And I would say mental health and stress, and I wouldn't even call it balance between job and personal life. It's just managing priority and expectations of the roles and responsibilities. Those are the recurring themes that I hear in talking to CISOs and architects, engineers, of what's above, below, and between. And I think a hot one, which I like to harp on a lot on the podcast and also on WTF, is just so much marketing fluff from vendors, which make it super hard and increases the friction in the buying process.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously something that Audience First and Cyber Synapse is trying to alleviate, is how do we reduce that fluff? How do we get closer to the buyers and the practitioners and put ourselves in their shoes as vendors to understand where they are and align those products and those services to their need and problems, this is full circle. This is closing the loop here to what you said initially in the beginning of the conversation.
Awesome. I take 3 main points out of that.
Yeah.
The communications, which I totally agree. And we see, and if I take it into the AlgoSec side of things, I see how our organizations need to be able to pull in the app owners,
Yes,
to pull in the cloud security and the network security and let them all work together. That's part of the Horizon capabilities. The second is, how can we demonstrate, not just on the marketing side of things, but how can we demonstrate the value? And I can guarantee that in an hour session, our team is able to show the value, to demonstrate the value, and you can build easily a vision into how you implement that into your own organization and structure that. It is that simple. It is not very, excuse me, all the marketing folks, but it's not very high level. It is very into the details.
Okay.
And very clear.
Yeah.
And 1 hour session with our team, and you'll be able to see what ACE can provide you.
So if I may double click into that guaranteed statement, that's a big statement to guarantee. So an hour of value, for the go-to-market teams, even product, sales, marketing, how do you show value in an hour? Is there like a cocktail that you could share with us that we could practice to optimize offline and share with other customers?
So our team will show the discovery capability, how it works. But then once you have that and you onboarded that into the system, how you're able to build a plan around that. And again, you have the visibility, you have the different set of risks. You can build a plan to mitigate those risks. You can build a plan to maintain that level of security. You can build a plan to pull in the app owner and allow the app owner to have the agility that we discussed today around that. And that is very easy to demonstrate. And that's part of our sessions, but part of what we demonstrate when we show the product and the product value is how smooth that is.
Amazing. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, I think that's all. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Before we stop that big red button over there, where can people find you?
LinkedIn. algosec.com and any of the social medias, I guess.
Amazing. If you haven't done so already, take a look at algosec.com. ACE is out and fresh, so we're super excited to take a look at the new features over there and the demos that they have. Gal, this has been an absolute pleasure. You're always welcome back to the show. We'll probably see each other also at RSA very soon.
Yes.
This has been another episode of Audience First. We are out.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Audience First. If you like what you've heard, feel free to follow or subscribe to Audience First on Apple, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast streamers.